Well, I lived in a village which had no facilities that you usually associate with youth. There were no parks, no playgrounds. There was no organized recreational life, whatever. There was school, and there was Sunday school, and there were the organizations or the organized activity that my mother made for us, she along with other parents, other mothers. There was no library, nothing that could edify a youngster. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. And when I was 6 years old, my father, feeling that the Rennesville in which I was born, the village in which I was born, was not viable and would not ever permit him to move to the status that he thought he should move as a lawyer, moved then to Tulsa, Oklahoma, a much larger city, bustling, hustling, growing, and which was very prosperous in the 20s. And he went there, and we were to move at the end of my school year, our school year. My mother was teaching, my sister and I were in school. My older brother and sister were away in private school. And we were all ready to go and to have a new life. And that's when the race ride engulfed Tulsa, and the entire black section of Tulsa was first looted, then burned and bombed. Large numbers of people were dead, were killed. My father was kept in a detention center for several days, and we learned finally that there was a riot in progress, or there had been a riot. And we didn't know for several days whether my father was living or dead. And then we got a message that he was alive and well. But of course, he told us that everything he owned, except the clothes he had on him that night of the riot, had been destroyed. He had no money, no house that he had got for us to live in, not anything. And within a month or 6 weeks, he came to see us. And then we learned all about the riot, and how devastating it was, and that we would have to remain in Rennesville, a village, for another period of time, at that time undetermined. Turned out to be 4 more years, but at the moment we did not know. We just simply hoped. Now that was a period, those 4 years were very important in my own development. And I had no father except that he visited spasmodically. And the responsibility of raising me devolved entirely on my mother. She was equal to the task, I hasten to say. And she taught me so much of what I learned in that period, including how to fish, for example, and inventing games for us. We lived out from the village, and you have no idea how lonely the nights were. There was not much we could do in the evenings because we only had to read. We read by lamplight, and one of the reasons that my eyes were as weak as they are today is that I read too much by lamplight between the ages of 6 and 10. We had no running water, no electricity, no heat except that which we created by burning logs and so forth. We had no coal, for example. And
it sounds like a hard childhood.
It was a hard childhood. We were essentially latchkey kids, my sister and I. My mother was teaching not in Rennesville, but over what we call the mountains. They weren't mountains, but it was in another section. She went by horse every day. And we were going to the school in Rennersville. And we would get home before she would get home. And we had to do certain duties that we had to perform. We had to get the wood in. We had to clean the chimneys of the lamps with newspaper, keep the soot out of them. We had to wash the dishes if we hadn't washed them earlier in the day before we went to school. And we had merely to sort of take care of ourselves until my mother arrived home to prepare the evening meal and to see that we got our homework.
Were you mischievous? Were you studious? Were you quiet?
Well, I was studious, but I was also mischievous. I was probably beyond my class in achievement, and therefore I was to some extent bored by class. That would be true from then on to the time I finished high school. I seemed to have been beyond my class, and so I got into a lot of trouble. I took a class in auto mechanics in which the teacher said that he would give me a B if I would promise not to come to class anymore. I made so much noise, and he was disgusted with me and my little buddy.
What were you doing?
Well, we were making more noise than the engines in the room. I don't know quite how we were doing it, but we made noise that he didn't think he couldn't tell whether the engines were running smoothly or not. But, he just pleaded with us just to leave, just don't come back, and he would give us a B as a reward for not coming back.
And when you were coming up through school and whatever, what kind of dreams did you have for yourself in terms of what you were going to do? What was open for you to do?
I don't think I had any dreams of what I wanted to do. I don't dream very much about career or anything like that. I never have. I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer, but that was merely to emulate my father. By the time I got in high school and the Depression had hit, and we were even more impoverished than we had ever been, I did not quite understand the Depression. I did not quite understand our poverty, and it was poverty. We had no Christmas at all or anything like that. We had no toys. I never had a bicycle because my people were never able to purchase a bicycle for me. You see, so I concluded that we were in poverty because my father was a poor businessman, and that and my real hope or ambition to go to law school to become a lawyer was to come back and rescue him and give him the opportunity to really practice law without having to fret about business, and I would do the business and I would rake in the money. You see, I did not know that there was a very serious worldwide depression, and unemployment was high everywhere and highest among blacks. Nor did I understand the fact that blacks who were able to have lawyers, many of them, did not trust their lawsuits, their legal problems with African American lawyers, because African American lawyers did not enjoy the respect that they were entitled to in the courts. So why do you put yourself in jeopardy? You're already in jeopardy if you're in legal trouble. Why do you put yourself in more jeopardy, more trouble, by having a lawyer who enjoys no full respect in the courts? You see, and I did not understand that. I just thought my daddy was a good lawyer, but a poor businessman. And then if I went to law school, returned to practice with him, we'd get on Easy Street immediately. We'd become rich, you see.